go down, Jesus. Hey guys, my name's Jamieson, as I said, and I'm the founder of The Dots. Before I start, and I'm not expecting anyone to put their hands up because we're super new here in the UK, but who'd actually heard of The Dots before today? Oh my God, there's one person. I love you already. So we're babies here in the UK, but I actually started the business in Australia. And as I said, I've been doing this for 5 years now. Started a business in Australia, exited that business, then started a business over here. And I'm going to just give a really sort of honest account of kind of what I've been through. So it all started in Australia. I'm actually British. I went to uni in Edinburgh, and sorry about my slightly Australian twang, but I used to work at MTV, and the whole idea for the platform came about because when I was at MTV, I was finding it really, really hard to connect with amazing creative talent. Especially when we at MTV were trying to get into the digital space, it was just really tricky. Back then, if you put a job on a job board, it was an absolute nightmare because I used to get about 1,000 people applying for a role, and I was just really time poor and I didn't have time to get through that many applicants. So what really happened at MTV, which is kind of what happens across the creative industries, is it was really word of mouth driven, and I was always asking for mates and mates and mates. And as we were trying to hire more digital talent into the business, my little black book was just terrible. I didn't know any digital designers, and it just led to really not great outcomes within MTV. The other problem with word of mouth was everyone came from the same background, everyone went to the same university. Literally at MTV in Australia, everyone lived in Bondi. It's really embarrassing. That is Bondi though. And the problem with that is it can become really dangerous creatively. If everyone is the same, you don't come up with different creative solutions and different perspectives. So, as I said, the easiest way to describe it is a bit like LinkedIn for the creative industries. So Matt and I basically, this is my old business partner, Matt Fail, built the platform because we were trying to solve an in-house solution that we needed at MTV. So, typical startup, this is 5 years ago, sunk our life savings in starting the platform. MTV didn't pay very well, so it wasn't a huge amount of money. They used to pay us in Jägermeister, pretty much. So we started doing it from scratch. We had no idea what we were doing, to be honest. This is Matt and I. Matt lived in Manly, if you know Australia. I lived in Bondi, so we worked over Skype. He was a surfer. He promised me he had clothes on the bottom half, but I never quite know. And this is the original wireframes of the site. It's so lo-fi, it's insane. This is before InVision. And this is Matt's bedroom wall, and we used to just sit there for hours trying to work out where everything would fit together and how the site would actually work. And so I guess our vision was, let's create a platform that's really easy for everyone involved in the creative process to promote themselves online. But most importantly for us was actually connecting those people to real world opportunities. Everyone's time poor these days. If you're going to bother creating a profile, you want it to lead to something. And so what we're passionate about is actually it leading to a full-time job, a freelance job, or a collaborator. So we do three things. We help creatives of all disciplines. That includes UI, UX, product designers, promote themselves online. We help them network and collaborate. But as I said, the most important thing for me is connecting people to real-world opportunities. And we connect the dots, I'm sorry, that's why we're called The Dots. We connect the dots between all the creative industries. And that's everything from technology to design, advertising, film, TV. The reason being is everything is becoming, talent is really becoming skill-based now. You know, you've got Sky here in the foyer, you know, they're hiring lots of people that would traditionally work in what you call technology. So we try and bridge the gap between all the different creative industries. These are examples of profiles on the site. It's completely free for creatives to create profiles on the site. And we're now working with just over a year old here in the UK. We're now working with over 3,000 businesses that use us to find talent. I think there's around 1,600 opportunities on the site. So it's an amazing selection. In terms of technology, we work with Google, Facebook, Spotify, Net-a-Porter, Airbnb, work with arts organisations like the V&A, Tate, TV channels like BBC, B-Sky B. So it's really exciting to see it all come together. But I guess why I'm so passionate about creative and why I think creativity is the industry which is so vitally important for our future prosperity is, you know what, soon machines are going to do a lot of what with the traditional industries. So they're going to drive, serve customers, do our legals, accounts, and, you know, creative thought and people thinking creatively is like the last bastion of stuff that can't be automated. So that's why I'm passionate about this industry. But that's kind of a bit of a background on the dots, but I guess I wanted to show you a bit about what I've gone through to make this happen. And as I said, I started this journey 5 years ago. I was in my 20s, I had no idea what I was doing. And from an outsider's perspective, in Australia, we were this massive tech success. We had really solid community growth from the beginning. We had a working business model, which doesn't really happen in the social media space. We grew the business in Australia to over 67% of all creatives in Australia actively using the site. We had over 11,000 clients. We were profitable. It was great. So this is what I call my happy sad graph. The top thing here is when I'm happy, I'm on cloud nine, we're going to take over the world. It's awesome. The bottom bit is my, what the fuck am I doing? I'm crying on my husband's shoulder. I don't want to do this anymore. I want a full-time job. So to an outsider's perspective, it looks like it was all happy. The reality of what I've been through is basically more like this. It is the startup roller coaster ride, and I can't see you guys, but if you run a startup, could you put your hands up? Okay, amazing. So this is basically, if you talk to any founder, I think this is what we all go through. Any business owner, this is what we all go through. It's been an insane journey. From launch, we had problems. I've nearly run out of cash 3 times, partly because I just really didn't realize how long it took to raise investment. I've made bad hiring decisions, but there's been massive highs as well. I mean, in Australia, we got to the point where the site was doing over 1/3 of LinkedIn's traffic, so it's kind of mental. I won't go through all these highs and lows because there's lots, and if you want to hear the stories, come see me afterwards. But a couple of really bad points for us is the first time we really nearly seriously ran out of cash is we underestimated how long it would take to raise investment. If you are raising investment in this room, give yourself 6 months minimum. We tried to do it within like 3 to 4 months. It got to this point where Matt and I had literally $1,000 Australian in our bank account. It was going to last us another 3-4 weeks. At that time, we were starting to talk to investors, and we went to Sydney Harbour to see a banker. And he was in one of these ivory towers. I don't know if you've ever been to Sydney Harbour, but it was in one of these ivory towers looking over Sydney Harbour. And as we walked into the room, he wouldn't sit down. And Matt and I were like looking at each other going, and we said, are you going to sit down? And he was like, no, money flows from the water. I have to look at the water. And I was like, oh my God. And we kind of did the pitch, and then halfway through the meeting, he arrogantly just got out his checkbook, slammed it on the table and said, I'll sign, I'll give you all the money you need right now. And Matt and I kind of looked at each other and were like, okay, we'll go away and think about it. And we went downstairs to this coffee shop downstairs, and we sat down and said, you know, we have to take this money, we're going to go out of business. And we kind of looked at each other and we said, you know what, this guy's an absolute wanker. Sorry. But if we go into business with him, I don't think we're going to have a business later down the track. And so Matt and I made a really scary decision that we were going to just keep meeting people, not knowing if we would meet another investor. So we ended up, I put a second mortgage on my apartment, which was a tiny little apartment in Sydney. Matt asked for some money from his parents. And we managed to eke out another couple of months, and we raised investment. And I must admit, it's the best thing I ever did. It's so important when you start a business that the investors you bring on believe in your vision, your passion, and they share your values. And I think it's exactly the same for teammates as well. If I'd taken that money back then, we wouldn't be here today, which is kind of weird and amazing. The other thing that was, you'll see this really, really, really big low that happened about 2 years ago now. I hit that classic startup nightmare. My amazing business partner got married, had a baby, and decided that he didn't want to expand internationally. And you know, we were profitable. He was like, I just don't want to take the risk, which I fully have to appreciate. But the problem when two founders want to take a business in different directions, I was like, oh my God, how could we make it in Australia and not try and make this work globally? The challenge with two business partners going in different directions is it's not reconcilable. So in the end, I ended up having to exit my business in Australia. So I sold my shares in the Australian business. I acquired the global technology rights. So we split the technology in two about 1.5 years ago. We rebranded. I then seed funded the business out of my exit. So my poor husband, it was like, all the money we made, sorry, is going straight into the next business, all eggs, one basket. And then we launched here about 1 year and a bit ago, literally on a bootstrap, everything I owned going into the technology. And, but it was the most amazing thing I'd ever done. And yeah, as I said, right now we've got 3,000 clients, and you know, it meant that because I seed funded the business, we just did a Series A before Christmas. We raised 1.5, led by Sir John Hegarty. And just before then, you know, I still own 65% of the business, which is kind of unheard of. So it's been magic to kind of get through that. But I guess I wanted to show a couple of really quick lessons of things that I have learnt the hard way. The first thing I've learnt is that we work in an industry, everyone in this room works in an industry where we can have our cake and eat it. It is unbelievable the opportunities that are out there at the moment, and I'm such a big believer, life is short, work somewhere awesome. You should love what you do every day, and I love what I do every day, so it's kind of a big mantra for me. The other thing I've learned is I've made some disastrous hiring mistakes in my time. When we first raised investment in Australia, I got really excited because I had money in the bank, it was great. And we hired a head of marketing who was head of marketing for the equivalent of Topshop in Australia. And I knew in the first week that this guy wasn't right for the business. He was basically just too used to having staff. You know, he found it really tricky solving his own solutions. He wasn't on the tools. You know, his email would break and he'd sort of be looking for an IT department, which obviously we didn't have. And my natural instinct as a boss is to kind of nurture people and try and bring them through it. So for 3 months, we kept him in the business, and we did let him go. And the moment that happened, the whole team dynamic changed. And I learned that really important thing that, you know, one rotten apple can actually start rotting the whole barrel. And I'm now really brutal when it comes to hiring decisions. It sounds really awful, but I just have to be, because team dynamics is so important to me. And so based on that, we have really clear values as a business of who the kind of people we hire. We don't hire on culture fit, because my challenge with culture fit is it tends to lead to the kind of people you're going to go to the pub with, and it means you don't really get a diverse team. So it's all about values in our business, and one of the biggest values in our business is positivity, and I'm always looking for people that are positive. And it's not kind of people that are yes people, it's people that absolutely challenge me, but it's people that are going to come to me with solutions, not problems, because I've got enough on my plate. And so everyone we hire has a positive disposition. The other thing I've learnt is I just couldn't afford onshore engineers. All the engineers in this room, it's like picks and shovels in the gold rush. You are the picks, it's amazing. That's one way to put it. So I couldn't, all my back-end development actually happens offshore. And I work with an amazing team based in Sri Lanka. We use, obviously, Envision, Slack, Jira, Confluence, anything to manage the team, but it's worked amazingly well, and they're part of the family. We have stand-ups every day over Slack. We have big team gets-togethers every month, so it's actually been this amazing ride. I'm also really proud that we've just got our engineering team in Sri Lanka to 50-50 male women. It took me 4 years, but we got there. The other thing I learned with keeping a team is don't burn them out. I have been really guilty I have a lot of energy. I work 6 days because I love what I do, but I can't expect the people around me to do that all the time as well. I've nearly burnt myself out. I've definitely burnt out staff in the past. It's not excusable, but I have learned the hard way. And so we use this a lot of work, and it's called the performance arousal chart. I'm not sure arousal is the right word for it, but arousal basically means how much you're pushing your team and how much they're learning and how much they're engaging. What you'll find, this actually started as a chart in sports, but it's really applicable to anyone who runs a team. But as you start pushing your team further and further, their performance per hour actually starts going up because they're excited, they're engaged, they're learning. Then you get to the point up here where they're really at their peak performance. But from there on, if you're pushing them too hard, the performance per hour starts going down. So that little bit in the middle is basically flow, where you're working at your peak. However, if you push your team too hard, you're going to start getting into the fatigue zone, the ill health zone, and I think we've probably all been there. And so what I use this, everyone we bring onto the team, we show them this graph, and whenever I see that kind of deer in the headlights look from my team, I'll basically bring out the graph and ask them where they are on the graph, and if they are starting to go into that point now, they've got to take a break, they've got to go on holiday, because it is so easy to kind of burn yourself out. The other thing I've learned is, for anyone who's thinking of starting a business or starts a business or is running a business, you really need support at home. I work crazy hours. Bringing your partner, your boyfriend, your girlfriend on the journey with you is almost as important as bringing investors on the journey with you. This is my amazing husband. We live on a boat in King's Cross. And he's kind of an integral part of my team, but not actually on my team, because he went freelance, he looks after the boat, he looks after home, and it's been kind of really important to have him on the ride. The other thing I learned in the business is it's really hard to prioritize ideas when you're building a product. My team are amazing, and they're always coming up with new ideas and coming up with new solutions and ways of doing it. We were spending a lot of time discussing all these different things that we could possibly do. And it got a bit overwhelming. We weren't being productive at all. So what we started these things called pitch days, which are a bit like Dragon's Den. So if anyone ever has got an idea for the platform, and that's everyone across the business, they put the idea in a folder, which is their pitch folder. And then every couple of months, we have a team get together between Sri Lanka and here in London, and people pitch the idea. They have 2 minutes to pitch. Then we have 3 minutes to pull apart the idea, and then we do a chart that is basically says impact, effort, and we start plotting out which ideas are going to start going on to the development schedule. And it's just been a really great way to engage the team in what's going on. Some of the best ideas for the product have actually come from the girl who looks after customer service at the Dots. And so it's a lovely way to kind of get the team engaged while still delivering really great outcomes to the product. The other thing I was really guilty in the past of not celebrating what we were doing. And so we started what we called the glory wall at work. Sorry, kind of stuck. Which is basically a visual representation of everything we've achieved. So every month, everyone gets up, puts up either quotes or lovely messages from our customers, or it can be, there's a picture of our local kebab shop because we love it, but it's just this brilliant visual representation to know that how far we've come and what we're doing. I guess if anyone in this room is thinking of going out on your own, I say it's the best thing I've ever done. It is all in nothing. I spent my first year starting the business in Australia eating tuna because that's all I could afford. I did it again over here. But do you guys know this guy? Seth Godin? Seth Godin says starting a business is a bit like blowing up, you know, one of those really long kids' balloons that you get? He said starting a business is a bit like one of those where you puff and you puff and you puff and nothing's happening and it's really annoying. And then what's amazing is things start going well and start building, that balloon starts inflating, and it gets easier and easier. And that's exactly what I felt on my first time of doing this and the second time of doing this. It is perseverance, it's sticking in there, it's grinding through. So I guess to close, I'm not telling you it's going to be I'm not telling you it's going to be easy, I'm telling you it's going to be worth it. So thank you.
Awesome, thank you very much. Wow, there's so much to dig back into there. Thank you. I love the performance arousal graph. I think that as a diagnostic tool as well. It's just a really clever way to visualise where somebody is. Thank you. I'm going to open this up in just a second to the floor because I'm sure there's lots of questions for Pip. But can I start us off with something I'm really interested in, this idea of survivorship bias. The idea that the people that made it kind of tell the history and we don't hear so much from the people that didn't make it. You've just told us about a couple of really scary situations. The financial ones in particular resonate and they sound pretty bad. In hindsight, would you make the same decisions again? Would you advise other people in your position to make the same decision?
I definitely make loads of different decisions. There's so much we did wrong. I mean, as I said, if you're raising investment, leave a lot longer. Don't leave so short in the bank. I'm constantly reevaluating what I did in the past. Actually, when I left my former business, I got a 360 review done by one of my lead investors, and he interviewed all my staff, all our investors, some of our main contractors, and it was a really confronting process. First page was like what I was great at, second page is what I was shit at. It wasn't phrased like that, and then the final page is like learnings from that business I could take on from there. And you never stop growing as a person. I think you have to be really reflective to improve and get feedback that way.
And there are huge risks that you've just got to embrace.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
God, yeah.
Anybody on the sofas seen common experiences in what Pip's talked about? Anybody resonating with those sorts of...
And there are two things that you said, I think, that really resonate for me, which are to do with hiring being so important and managing burnout. Those are things where we have a very different sort of business, but actually you're in this for the long haul, and one toxic individual in fact, it's more important to get shot at the toxic ones than it is to hire the really good ones, actually. It really is. And nobody else will do that for you. If you're the leader of the business, unfortunately, everybody else just sits there quietly and lets them get on with being shit. You're the one who's got to kill them. And the other, that's the only way to put. And the other is that in short bursts you can have heroes really carrying the place, but you're in it for the long haul, and you need to manage that workload properly.
Thank you. And DotYork doesn't necessarily endorse Doug's insight. You're a founder yourself. Did this sound familiar?
Definitely, that kind of roller coaster of in the early days when the cash flow gets really difficult and you don't know how you're going to, but it always seems to continue on the trajectory, the forward trajectory overall.
Okay, you stay with it.
Yeah.
Cool, thank you. Coming out to the audience, anybody got any questions for Pip? How did she do it? How did she stay sane? Any specifics about the decisions that she made that she might refine next time? Yes, please.
Did you ever consider not taking investments and carrying on the bootstrap route?
Yeah, we did. The challenge, we were actually profitable. We raised 2 rounds in Australia, so we did a seed round and a Series A in Australia. Both rounds we were profitable before we raised. The reason we wanted to raise investment is we worked out that it was impossible to get the scale that we wanted quickly enough without investment. I would sort of stick by raising investment again because of that. So for me, it was a speed acceleration decision as opposed to we couldn't have done it decision.
Okay, so organic wasn't really on the cards. Yeah. At this point, Doug, could you wander up? And while you do that, I'm just going to take a couple more questions. Yes, please.
I love your use of the Seth Godin's balloon analogy, and yet, if you grow too fast, is it possible? Or if you continue to grow, is it possible to pop?
I think it's always possible to pop. It's what I did is so risky, it's insane. I guess what I've become better at and what I wasn't so good at, or what I wasn't so good at in Australia, was making sure I've got people around me that can help when you can start seeing pops happen. So that's, I think I used to think I could do it all, and I just can't. So I've got really good advisors in all different sort of disciplines, both inside and outside the business. So I've just got better at identifying when things are starting to pop.